calling in the people on your cell phone number.
Good afternoon. It is 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 1st, today of 2024. We'll call the City Council meeting of the City of New Ulm to order. Item number 1 this evening is a consent agenda. Councilors, what are your wishes?
So move.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye.
We're not making motion.
Opposed? That motion carries. I was just, you guys were a little hasty on that, and so, but just, that's great. Item number 2 is public hearings. We have a couple public hearings this evening. 2.1, public hearing on the special assessments for the 2023/2024 weed and tree removal and property repairs.
Counselors' notices were all sent to the people on the list, so they were aware of the assessments. I have not heard anything about these particular assessments.
Thank you very much. At this time,
Go ahead.
the public hearing is open. If you do have a comment, you can come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Being that I see nobody coming forward, I'm going to conduct the public hearing and offer the resolution establishing the special assessments for the 2023-2024 weed and tree removal and property repairs.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
This is the first time I've seen sidewalk repairs, right, Chris? I don't know if I've
No,
noticed
they've
it.
been, they're on there
they?
periodically, yep.
Okay. I
There's
just
usually
remember
maybe
that
one a
was,
year,
yeah.
All
yeah.
right, thanks.
Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 2.3 is a public hearing, 2.2 is a public hearing for special assessment on the resale of tax forfeited property.
I'm sorry, this one we actually decided not to move forward with this morning. We have some questions with the county on the amount, so we've contacted the owner, and we're not moving forward with the reassessments at this time.
Perfect. These reassessments and this item will be tabled. Item number 2.3 is for special assessment on resale of tax forfeited property.
This is one single lot. The notice was sent to the property owner. These are for older assessments from before the tax forfeiture. We're just looking to reassess those, and I have not heard anything from this property owner.
Again, hearing nobody wanting to be heard, I'll make a motion to conduct the public hearing, offer the resolution establishing the special assessment on Dakota West Edition, Lot 13, Block 4.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. And we are seeing there is no one that cares to be heard, so I will ask for any additional discussion. Okay, at this time, we'll close the public hearing. Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion does carry. Public hearing is item number 2.4 for special assessments for the 2023-24 delinquent water, wastewater, and storm charges.
Counselor, same thing. The notices were sent to all the property owners. We received a few phone calls asking about the amounts, so we've explained those to those that have called. Other than that, we really didn't hear any other complaints or anything from anybody.
Hearing that, I don't see anybody coming up here, so I'll offer a motion then to close the public hearing and offer the resolution establishing the special assessments for 23-24 delinquent water, wastewater, and stormwater charges.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion does carry. Section 3, licenses and permits. Item 3.1, American Legion liquor license extension for Oktoberfest.
I'll offer the resolution to authorize extension of the American Legion's liquor license into Minnesota Street between Center Street and First South Street during Oktoberfest on Saturday, October 5th and October 12th, 2024, beginning at 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., subject to conditions.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
And President Becker?
Yes, that motion does carry. Item 3.2 is a raffles gambling permit for New Ulm Youth Wrestling.
I'll make a motion to approve the issuance of a lawful gambling permit for the New Ulm Youth Wrestling Association to conduct raffles gambling at Rolling Thunder Wrestling, 1607 South German Street on Sunday, December 15th, 2024.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That does carry. Item 4 is reports from officers, boards, and commissioners. Item 4.1 is a conditional use permit for 214 North Minnesota Street, and we have Mr. Nicely here. Good evening.
Good evening, Council President, Councilors. John Isley, planner with the City of New Ulm. This item is a proposed conditional use permit to allow 214 North Minnesota Street LLC to operate a farm winery on property zoned B4, that's the central business district in the downtown area. The Planning Commission at its September 26, 2024 meeting unanimously recommended approval with conditions. The reasoning for approval is found in the findings of fact attached to your agenda. So I'll give a very brief overview of what they're proposing here. So the applicant is applying for a conditional use permit to open up a farm winery in a vacant downtown building. That's 214 North Minnesota Street. We all know it as the old Lamplighter building. Our city zoning ordinance defines a brewery/winery as a business located in a building or establishment that manufactures beer, malt beverages, wine, or similar fermented products through the use of kegs, bottles, cans, with the option to sell its own products on-site in a tap room. And a brewery and a winery are also allowed to operate a restaurant on the premises. Table 5.5, uses by zoning district, says that a brewery is a conditional use permit in the B4 zoning district. And mainly the reason behind that is when they manufacture those types of things on site, there can be smells, odors, extra waste that are generated from that type of operation. That's the reason we have a conditional use permit for those types of things in the downtown area. In September of 2022, the business located at 214 North Minnesota Street experienced a major fire within the building and has since been vacant. Structurally, the building is sound even though it received extensive smoke damage. The applicant is proposing to operate the wine fermentation and processing area completely within the building envelope. The wine will actually be brought into the space, partially fermented from a different facility, finished, and then bottled on the site. So there are no outdoor impacts associated with the winemaking process. There was a concern that was brought up at the Planning Commission about how are they going to be transferring that wine from the street or the vessel that it's being carried into the site. So they'll actually be using what's referred to as a transfer pump from the truck and transfer the liquid into the building, into tanks to finish off fermentation. Very common practice in the wine beer making world.
From the rear of the building?
It'll be in the front of the building. So we'll get to that point too. The Planning Commission did add an extra condition to take to try to ensure safety measures are taken. In addition to manufacturing wine on the site, the applicant intends to have a full bar to serve the wine along with other beverages, sell the wine retail, and operate a restaurant. There are currently no finalized plans for the upper floor of the building, and at this time, the floor will remain as it is today. There were 6 proposed conditions attached to this conditional use permit application. One is that the applicant property owner will pay the cost to record the permit with the Brown County Recorder's Office. 2, that the applicant will maintain necessary state and federal licenses to operate a farm winery, dispense alcohol, and conduct events. 3, that there's no exterior storage for the winemaking process is permitted on the property. 4, that there will be no external manufacturing impacts on area properties. 5, that the applicant will comply with outdoor seating requirements. And then 6, the applicant will provide safety measures for pedestrians using the sidewalk when loading or unloading bulk wine from the street. That concludes the staff report. Just back to the processing, the transferring part, I would anticipate that wouldn't take any longer than it would when semis are stopped in the downtown area, loading other businesses up with whatever they've purchased. So it could be Cisco, it could be a distributor, loading up those other businesses in the downtown area.
Mm-hmm.
And I did notice that, no outdoor impacts. Are they doing anything with the facade or not, do you know?
Yeah, they are proposing, at least to our knowledge right now, they will be proposing a new canopy, but not changing any external features other than the canopy on the building.
And they're aware that goes, okay.
Yep.
HPC, I got it. Thank
John.
you.
I had a question. I'm assuming the upstairs was apartments before, and those are vacant.
Those are currently vacant.
Okay.
I think they do have future plans, but at this time, they're going to leave those vacant.
And if they use that as part of their operations, would they need a separate CUP for that upstairs? No?
No,
Or
it's
even
for
if
the, it's
they
for
moved-
the property,
For the
which would
property.
include the whole building.
Okay.
They might have to deal with some building code issues with those types of weights and things on the second floor, but that would be something they'd work with the building official on.
Okay.
Add from the planning and zoning meeting, the discussion was about transporting of the wine into the facility. And, I think John would agree with what I'm saying it from the meeting is that it's not going to be that often, so you got your fall harvest, they're going to produce their juice, and then that's designated times they're going to be bringing it in. So it's not like it's going to be weekly. It's whenever it's ready at their off-site location, they'll bring it in
Correct.
and do it.
A
So,
portion of the building will be where they're going to actually finish the wine product. The rest will be basically an open wine bar.
Yep.
Correct.
And restaurant.
and a restaurant.
I did have one more question. So the applicant is Mark Hunder, so he's the development manager of Rebound Real Estate. So is it going to be his business, or is he applying for this on behalf of somebody else?
On behalf of somebody else. They're going to, well,
And when will we know who that will be?
who the
Yeah,
leasers
I
will
mean,
be.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask Mark about that, but it sounds like he has secured two people to already lease the property. One to do the restaurant business and then one to do the winemaking.
Be two different businesses operating in this building through one conditional use permit?
Yeah.
Okay.
The restaurant doesn't need a conditional use permit at all. That's just a permitted
That's-
use in that
it's
zoning
for the
district.
wine.
Just for the winery.
Okay.
What's their plan as far as starting?
According to Mark, they'd like to be open by next June. With the remodels, all the demolition that needs to take place, the new construction that needs to take place, it's a fairly aggressive timeline for them.
I'll go ahead and offer a resolution to approve the conditional use permit with conditions listed below to allow 214 North Minnesota Street LLC to operate a farm winery in a B4 Central Business District.
Second. Thanks for your explanation, John.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
I'm just going to add that we issued this something similar across the street 2 years ago for what was going to be a winery. So it's,
Correct.
so
Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz? Yes. Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 4.2 is an ordinance number 2024-TBD, first consideration of zoning.
Okay, I'll give a very brief and broad background, if that's okay. Otherwise, we can go into detail on each one of these changes.
We can start brief, and if we have questions, we can.
Super. So the first proposed zoning amendment is to Table 3.1 in the zoning ordinance. And what is listed in Table 3.1 are the different zoning districts within the city and their abbreviations and then their name, district titles, let's call it. And in that table, it lists the B3 zoning district as the community commercial district. And then throughout the rest of the ordinance, the B3 is referred to as the community business district. So the correction to Table 3.1 is simply trying to keep the rest of the ordinance consistent and changing community commercial to community business district. So it's just a text change. In Table 4.7, that is in regards to the RT1, that is the traditional neighborhood single-family residence district. That district is sort of designed to be the transition zone between the RT2, which is the single and two-family residence district, to the RT1, which is, the R1, which is single-family residence district. So it's that transition zone from a higher density to a lower density. Largely, the lots within that zoning district are those typical city grid lots, 50 by 165. And within those grid lots, there are a number, 36 actually, lots that are split and are on corners or intersections where if we were to keep the current standards that are written for that district, those lots that are split corner lots wouldn't be able to develop any further with additions or things like that because those weren't taken into account when the district was set up. So this proposed change is basically taking the exact same standards that are in the RT2, which were designed for the grid lots, split corner lots in the grid section, and bringing them over to the RT1. But it's only for existing split corner lots, not any new corner lots.
John, I got one question with that. Okay, I understand the corner lots, splitting them up. It doesn't impact, or was it taken into consideration, those few houses that we have in the middle of the block in the rear half of the lot that there's a house?
No.
No? Okay. I think we've got 4 or 5 of those left yet.
Right, and I think those are mostly in the RT2, if I'm not mistaken. So the
Dave is saying
RT1,
yes.
Is it all the R2, Dave?
for the most part.
Okay.
So if you can imagine the north and south end of the community, down towards South Park, that's the area where there's a lot of RT1 zoning districts. Down towards North Park, that's where there's a lot of the RT1. And then in between is the RT2, single and two family.
Similar to our old grid pattern, right, Dave? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then the proposed zoning amendment to table 5.3, that's the community business district regulations. Those standards that are currently exist are standards set up for lots that are greater than 20,000 square feet. There are 6 lots that are potentially developable in that zoning district currently that are less than that 20,000 square feet. And what we did was develop a second set of standards that would apply to those lots, reducing setbacks, both the front, sides, and rear, so those lots are still developable. Because if we were to apply the lots or the standards for the lots that are greater than 20,000 square feet, they wouldn't be developable at all. They're too small and too narrow. The Planning Commission did review each one of these individually, made separate findings of facts and approvals on each one of these proposed zoning amendments.
Well,
I don't have any questions. It's not up on my computer, otherwise I'd make the motion.
It's a big document, so
Yeah.
it took forever to download into our system.
Thank you.
We did, but
I'll offer a motion to conduct the first consideration of ordinance number 2024- amending Appendix A to the New Ulm City Code, the zoning ordinance of the City of New Ulm, update setback standards in the RT-1 traditional neighborhood, single-family residence, and the B3 community business zoning districts.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That does carry. Thank you, John. Item number 4.3, rezoning of property located at 2023 through 2303 through 2023-21 North Highland Avenue. Try that again. There we go.
Madam
Mr. Schnobel.
President and members of the City Council, the property that is proposed to be rezoned would be from a classification of AOS, which is agricultural open space, to R1, which is single-family residence district. Legal description of the property is lots 2 through 5, Block 1, Wells subdivision. The Planning Commission at its September 26th meeting unanimously recommended approval of the rezoning. A little bit of background on this particular request. The property owner in this case has petitioned for annexation of this property into the city. City Council has approved that request. The annexation documents have been submitted to the state of Minnesota, to the Office of Administrative Hearings by the city attorney. As required in the city's zoning ordinance, the property is zoned AOS at the time of its annexation. The approval of a change in the zoning of the property from AOS requires a new zoning amendment and must follow the normal approval process. The proposed plat will divide the total property into 5 lots, but we're only dealing with lots 2 through 5 in this particular request, so that is 4 lots, 4 of the 5 lots. The owner is in the process of selling lot 3, so he's going to sell one of those 4 lots. There is a residence currently on that lot. So that would leave 3 lots that are currently vacant and would be available for single-family development. Lot 1, which is a lot that will not be rezoned, will be considered at a later date for rezoning following the determination of a more specific land use for that parcel. The most appropriate zoning classification for it will likely be R3, which is medium-density residence district. Pursuant to Minnesota law, there are 2 criteria that are considered when evaluating the rezoning of property. Number 1 is whether the proposed rezoning corrects an error in the original zoning text or map. Or number 2, whether the proposed rezoning addresses needs arising from a changing condition, trend, or fact affecting the subject property and surrounding area. So it has to meet one of those 2 criteria. The first criteria does not apply in this particular case, so we're looking at a change in condition, trend, or fact. The Planning Commission found 8 reasons to make that determination, and those are as follows. The first one, and probably the most important, is that the comprehensive plan designates the property as low-density residential, and the proposed rezoning to R1 would be consistent with that land use designation. Second reason is the rezoning would be compatible with surrounding residential land uses. Third is that there is a single-family residence currently on the property. 4, the properties are a suitable location for that type of development. 5, the proposed rezoning would be compatible with area of Brown County land uses. 6, the change in the condition is that the property is now available for single-family development. 7, property adjoins municipal utilities. And 8, the community has a need for additional single-family residential lots. Would note that one of the attachments is a findings of fact form in which the Planning Commission lays out the reasons for recommending approval of the request. That would complete the report on this particular item.
Thank you, Mr. Schnurberg.
No, this is,
Any issues
yeah.
with it? If other councilors don't, I'll motion to approve the rezoning of the property that you described as lots 2 through 5, Block 1, Wells Addition from AOS Agricultural Open Space to R1 Single Family Resident District.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 4.4, preliminary plat of New Ulm River Haven Addition. Once again,
This property is located east of North Highland Avenue and south of Maplewood Drive. It has a current street address of 1800 North Highland Avenue. This property was previously platted as Dreamville NU Addition. And this was done in December of 2022 is when that process was completed. However, the plat was never recorded with the Brown County Recorder's Office. So the legal description for the property reverts back to the meets and bounds legal description that was used to annex the property into the city. So now we have a new plat, and it is, we're starting with the whole platting process. It starts over. And so if you look at the staff report that the Planning Commission received, you will note that the applicant is Wendy Anderson. The property owner, though, is the city of New Ulm. And the city has, at this time, a memorandum of understanding with Greenlaw LLC to sell the property to them. The total platted area is 7.61 acres. The applicant is proposing to develop a mix of residential housing on the property and in phases. Phase 1 would include 8 twin homes and 2 48-unit apartments. Phase 2 would include 6 townhomes. The property will consist of 17 lots. 16 of the lots will accommodate twin home dwellings. These units will be owner occupied. There are a total of 5 conditions for this particular request. One is to pay the platting fee of $480. Number 2 is to, the applicant is to provide an electronic file of the plat in an AutoCAD 2016 or newer format. Number 3, the applicant shall enter into a revised development agreement and general development plan with the city of New Ulm. And 5, the resolution approving the plat will be filed with the Brown County Recorder's Office. I would also note that with most plats, we have a parkland dedication fee that we would normally charge. In this particular case, Planning Commission is recommending that that not be charged, since they did make the fee previously for 118 units of housing. That project never took place, so it would seem logical that we should consider that fee paid for this particular plat. That would conclude the staff report.
This is quite similar to what Dreamville was intending to do, right? With twin homes, apartments.
There was row homes, I think, in that first proposal, correct?
No, there were 6 townhomes. The twin homes being platted separately is different, and the fact that they're going to be owner occupied is also a difference from the first time. Otherwise, the configuration of the platted area is the same.
That's what it sounds like.
So the owner occupied, explain that again, which, are all but the housing are going to be owner occupied?
The twin homes are going to be owner occupied. So they're going to build them, I believe, one at a time, and as they sell, they'll then build another, and as it sells, they'll build another.
Originally, it was all going to be rental.
Right.
And that was one thing the neighbors were upset about, was making the assumption that if you own the property, you're probably going to take better care of it than if you're a rental, which,
Right.
whether it is or not, but I think that'll make some of the owners, or the neighbors, a little happier about the situation. So thank you.
Agreed. With that, I'll make a motion to approve with conditions of preliminary plot of New Ulm River Haven Addition located east of North Highland Avenue and south of Maplewood Drive, street address 1800 North Highland Avenue.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Schnurberg. New business, item 5.1 is to set a public hearing date for a noise variance request for Rush.
Make a motion to schedule a public hearing date for Tuesday, October 15th, 2024 at 4:30 PM for a request from Aaron Bodie, Rush, for a noise variance to permit amplified sound music for a private event/fashion show on Friday, October 18th, 2024 from 5 PM to 11 PM on the Rush rooftop, 126 Minnesota Street.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 5.2 regarding ordinance number 2024-TBD, first consideration on zoning amendment.
Okay. So this is the ordinance, first consideration of the ordinance that rezones a property that the council just took the action to rezone. So it's from AOS, Agricultural Open Space, to R1, Single Family Residence District. It's for lots 2, 3, 4, and 5, Block 1, Wells subdivision. And it's the property located at 2303 to 2321 North Highland Avenue.
I'm going to offer motion to conduct the first consideration of the ordinance number 2024- amending Appendix A to the New Ulm City Code to rezone from AOS, Agriculture Open Space, to R1, Single Family Residence District. The property legally described as Lot 2, 3, 4, and 5, Block 1, Wells Addition.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5.3 is the scheduling of the canvass of the 2024 municipal general election.
I'll offer a motion to approve the scheduling of the canvass of the 2024 municipal general election for Friday, November 8th, 2024 at noon, right here at the city council chambers.
Make sure I need a quorum there. So.
I was
I was going to
ask
say,
that.
if you are Ward 1 or Ward 3, please make sure this is on your calendar right now.
Are you serious?
That's you.
That's not deer hunting, is it?
You can find somebody.
Did you have a second, Andrea? Or was there a second?
I was waiting for one.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry also. We'll see you on November 8th. Item 5.4, library donation.
Resolution to accept the Optimist Club of New Ulm's donation to the New Ulm Public Library in the amount of $654, and thank you, Optimist Club.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Wormka?
Yes.
And President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Last item of business is claims and estimates, so a report of claims paid.
I'll offer a motion to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $4,845,548.34.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. And with no additional business, today's meeting will be adjourned.
Are you guys having trouble over there with things downloading too?